Yo, 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 it's OLP, and we're back with another episode 364. If you're back with us, thank you so much for continuing to rock with our lifestyle podcast, also known as OLP. If you're listening on a podcast app, thank you very much. Certainly finish us out here. However, just know that you'll have an enhanced experience if you listen via YouTube, because most of our episodes, if not all, for the year 2024 going forward will be in video as well whenever possible. So again, thank you so much. I want to thank our title sponsor. You always hear at the top, we mentioned Scrape at the Coast. Of course, they just had their epic, I think it was 21st annual. They'll be back, of course, next June in Biloxi. And there's going to be a lot more to talk about as we lead up to that event for June of 2025. On this episode, it's kind of going to be like a summer episode where I'm going to touch base with a couple of folks, and then I'm going to start a new segment where I break down Mini Truckin Magazine. So basically the overview, what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch base with Bill from Camp and Drag. Camp and Drag is coming up this coming weekend, and I've been to that show. Love what Bill and team do. We've had Bill on in the past. He's a good dude. And I'm also going to touch base with Trip, great guy from the Freakin Weekend, which is going to be a little less than 2 months away. So we're going to be, we'll have a couple different voices on this one. And Miggity Mike the Mayor is gallivanting, okay? Not just in the U.S., he is out of the country right now, if you could believe that. I definitely can believe it. I believe he's hanging out with Hank Norris. Don't really know. And I've been trying to get a hold of him. I guess he did not get the international plan because no text, no smoke signal, no phone call can make it through to Miggity Mike the Mayor's phone. I thought he was going to get a sat phone and be on call for us to be able to call him, but he has literally chucked us right into the bushes. So if you see Mike, tell him to phone home like Elliot, you know what I mean? E.T. and Elliot. But the episode overview, I want to thank our continued support from our family at Hammered Weekend Wear. And I do want to show you, if you get a chance, visit HAMMERD weekendwear.com. And the reason why I say that, again, I love being able to share the screen here on YouTube. If you get a chance, they do have a new pre-sale. They actually have 2 new shirts, and if you are familiar with their product, they're one of, if not the only brand in our scene that has the schedule that they have, and every 2 months, so give or take 60 days, they have a new pre-sale. And with this one, they have the Aged International, so this amazing crew cab international, I'll call it a full-size truck, right? There's no denying that. What's super cool is you can pick up different colors during the pre-sale, and once you pre-order this, they will deliver to you within the weeks and month, if you will, following. In addition to that, they also kind of threw a classic at us, and that is the famous Amongst Friends, a very cool slogan shirt, if you will. And this is Hammered celebrating their 10th year in business. So happy anniversary to the kinfolk at Hammered Weekend Wear. They're at a show this weekend. There are so many shows going on. It is hard to really kind of keep a pulse on them. And obviously what I've continued to tell folks here and just friends in general is trying to do that, use the B word, not the Ballard word, but just really trying to kind of balance life, right? And it's been great. My son graduated, as I mentioned recently. He's going to be going to college, and just spending time with the family and doing all that stuff. I can't make it to every show, and obviously I guess I could use the word sunset a little bit in terms of the amount of shows I go to. Although last year I hit a lot of stuff, including a lot of local stuff. But again, folks like Hammered Weekend Wear, they're out there at all these events. They're supporting the scene, and I would ask, if at all possible, if you can support them, get out there and show Hammered some love. Let them know that ODB from OLP sent you. Okay, next we got the breaking news, and on this one, I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to produce an episode for this week, if you will, because, like I had hinted prior, I think I did the Street Trucks episode, and I was going to really take a couple weeks off, but I wanted to get this episode out, but I just couldn't do it by Friday. And this was a good thing because basically, as of now, I can share that, hey, this is going to come out. And a couple of days ago, Eminem's new album, The Death of Slim Shady, also known to fans as DOSS for short, or TDOSS, depending on what hashtag you use. But that dropped on Friday, just a few days ago, depending on when you're listening to this, July of 2024. And I think, give or take, it was about a 4-year waiting period from the last album. And I guess you could kind of say, well, he had music to be murdered by, and then he kind of hit us with the B-side, an additional kind of second disc, if you will, of that album. That's not always considered in the industry like a new album. They kind of consider that a repackage, I guess. But regardless, it's been a few years, and following Eminem's post, which I think Paul Rosenberg, his manager, does all of those. It's funny over the past few years, like you see so many people, comment, just drop the album. And I always think to myself, like, people waste their time commenting that. I know they want their name to be seen in those comments oftentimes. That's why, you'll see a lot of people that'll post controversial stuff in comments. They want people to click on your Instagram name and see your profile or potentially follow you. But getting back to it, Music to Be Murdered By, comes out, and then, you've got this wait, and then you got The Death of Slim Shady. This album was announced several months back. Dr. Dre announced it on Jimmy Kimmel. He said that Eminem had given him the opportunity to announce it there. And that was super cool because the last couple of albums that Eminem has dropped, they've been kind of surprise albums right before Friday, and it's like, boom. And that's cool. And that worked definitely for Kamikaze, arguably for Music to Be Murdered By. But this was a super cool rollout. If you're at all an Eminem fan, they did a great job. And you don't see this a lot in the music industry unless it's like a superstar. Because, there's a lot of, these record companies don't make as much money maybe as they used to. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're still making money, but they may not have the staff and they don't have the budgets and things like that to do these, promo type things, as much as they did. And with this one, it was super cool. There were a couple little promo short clips that came out, one with a hand coming out of the grave, kind of almost like the Michael Jackson Thriller video, if you will, and things like that. But regardless, for fans, we really dig that kind of stuff. You have this rollout. I had wanted to stay up until midnight that night, and I have done that plenty of times, even this year, to listen to an album or a new song. But I just said, you know what, I'm going to go to bed. I woke up super early on Friday, immediately put it on, listened to it. It's a conceptual album, is what M said, and it's kind of best listened to like in order. But I think a casual fan that isn't really going to hit, in their mindset, because it's like maybe they're not as entranced in the story and things like that. But regardless, I listened to it multiple times. I really dig this, the Eminem, Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers, kind of going back and forth between the character. Slim Shady kind of comes back and he's trying to cancel himself, if you will. And you can imagine, 20 years ago as a mini trucker, so many of us were listening to the Marshall Mathers LP, going to shows. I remember rolling with my homie Russ and his crew cab dually, and he had the 12-disc changer, and we'd load it up with Ludacris or Cypress Hill or Eminem often, and boom, you would just hit play and you would listen to those albums. And that's what I did a lot of. So if you're a casual fan of Eminem, I'd say check it out. I think most of the stuff I've seen from fans, almost every single person has said that they love it. I mean, I haven't seen an Eminem album like this hit social media and everyone love it for the most part, fan-wise, in a long time. And even going back to 20 years ago, social media wasn't what it was. You'd see the reviews in a magazine. And so it's a little bit different now. But I've certainly listened to it a bunch. I love the stories, the double entendres, the double meanings, the Easter eggs, if you will. Still trying to kind of get through my mind, some of the things he's saying and kind of how the album rolls. But it's kind of cool if you listen to it and the album ends And then if it repeats and it goes back to track 1, it's like, it's kind of cool how it ends, and then how it flows back and it starts. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to continue to listen to it. I'm a big fan. I want to give a huge shout out to Lone Star Throwdown, one of our key partners. We love what they do in Conroe. Although they just had a Classic Truck Throwdown, they have Lone Star Throwdown every February. And I have argued and I have reinforced that, to me, this is the biggest, baddest truck show in the scene. And obviously, to me, I kind of mean when you think about the stuff that we love with the mini trucks, the full-size trucks, the body drop trucks, the C10s. It's got a little bit of everything. Obviously, there's a bunch of great classic truck shows out there, but certainly Lone Star Throwdown is a force to be reckoned with. Every February, typically, they do their pre-reg on August 1st. I did talk to Radar, and I think that might move. I think they're working through some things that maybe as a result of last year, or this year rather, the things that they had to work through. But rest assured, we'll have some more information coming soon. I'm going to touch base with Radar, and we'll make sure we get that intel out to all of the mini trucking syndicate out there. Now, I also want to reinforce something that was breaking news the day that Lonnie posted it. They did make a determination after Classic Truck Throwdown. Now, let's not confuse the two shows. They are the Throwdown family, but Classic Truck Throwdown these past 2 years has fallen the weekend before July 4th. So many Americans take off that Independence Day week. You would have been traveling out to Conroe the weekend before 4th of July, then you would have had that week off, and then boom, you kind of had that 4th of July weekend the next weekend. Based upon Lonnie's post at Classic Truck Throwdown on Instagram, they are going to look to move that for 2025. And that's not only for the showgoers, the participants that are coming through the gate, but it's also for staff. If you think about how hot it feels, I think we're all getting older. In any way you slice and dice it, it's just like, wow, like, do we want to be out in the middle of, Texas, if you will, in June? And those guys have made a determination that I think they're going to move it for next year. They even asked for feedback, so I thought that was really cool. So if you get a chance, go out to Classic Truck Throwdown, leave a comment on what you think. Obviously, it's very tough. If you're a show promoter or you're a show goer, if you look at the schedule, it's very, very tough. And you got to remember, a lot of these venues, you can't just go, well, I want to do it that weekend. Well, that weekend's booked up. You have to look at their schedule and things like that. So rest assured, we know that they'll do what's best for them and their families. And I think it's going to also trickle down, and it's going to be a great thing for the showgoers and the participants, if you will. Next, we got the general updates. I'm working on a new episode that might possibly come out this week. Like I said earlier, I wasn't planning to really even put out an episode this week. I was going to, take a little bit of time off because I've got some other things going on. I wanted to link up with David's son from Heatwave Tour, and that was on my kind of to-do list, but I just haven't had the time to sit down in here and make that happen. So definitely hate to say that, but this coming week I might have another episode, so keep it tuned, of course, to OLP. General updates brought to you by Southeast Mini Truckin Nats, also known short as Mini Nats. You'd have to be sleeping under a rock not to know where all of us are at every April. We are in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. And as I understand, as we start to get into kind of the fourth quarter of this year, Jason Bell and team will launch their pre-reg for 2025. And that's going to be the 31st annual Mini Nats. So come on out. Arguably the biggest, baddest show. And I can tell you this, if you don't just take my word for it, look at the folks that are driving from Arizona and California and Washington State, yes, and Oregon. People coming from all over, some fly in, most drive. Biggest, baddest show. Even if you can't get the golden ticket, you can still come out and cruise the streets, the mean streets of Maggie Valley. So thanks again to Southeast Mini Nats and Jason Bell and all of his team for doing what they do. The trivia with Mike. Now, Big E Mike the Mayor is gallivanting to another country right now, but I'm still going to ask this question to the Mini Truckin Syndicate. Are you ready? Now, this question does tie in a little bit to some pop culture news, unfortunately, that came down this week, but I'm going to ask you this question. When did 90210, the hit TV show? Many of you know. If you're young, you may not know that. You might be scratching your head going, hey, is that a zip code? Yeah, it is a zip code. But when did the hit TV show 90210 or 90210, but nobody says it like that, when did it first air? Now, if you can come up with even the month and year, that's great, but when did it air to, right? So when did it start? When did it end? I'm also going to ask you a second part of that question. So when did 90210 first air? I know Joey Whitby's over there slamming the dash because he probably's got the answer. And he's saying big money, no whammies. Shout out to J-Dub. But it first aired on October 4th, 1990, if you could believe that. And you go, man, even if you didn't watch the show, you're probably thinking, damn, I'm getting old. Yeah, we definitely are. 1990 is 30, 40 years ago, which is insane. Ironically enough, this show aired until, I had to look this up. I would have assumed like 6 or 7 years because I remember it was kind of like high school and then into college a little bit. It seemed like there was more of this than even Saved by the Bell, even though I love Saved by the Bell. I was a bigger Saved by the Bell fan. But October 4th, 1990 to May 17th of 2000, believe it or not. Crazy, right? Now, what were the main characters' names? So the original teenage cast. Now, the reason why I'm asking this question, so I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. What were the main characters' names, the original cast? There's several, so even if you get a few, you'll get the tick mark in your mind at least. And the reason why I ask is Shannon Doherty, who played Brenda Walsh. There was breaking news just, I think, in the last 24 hours of me recording this, that she has passed away. I think she had a battle, if I remember correctly, with cancer. And it's mind-blowing to me, you know, as we all get older, you know, some of us, whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or later, it's just like we continue to hear people that pass away. And sometimes, you know, I just go, you know, Mike and I would always talk about this, how we would say, you know, you just never know. And it's so true. And when you, unfortunately, are plagued with a disease like that, you just sometimes don't even get your full lifespan, and it's very, very sad. It doesn't matter how much money you have, or how much you've done in your life. You know, some people live to be an old age, other people don't. But rest in peace to Shannon Doherty. She was one of my favorite cult classics, Mallrats, and I think there's even been some discussion if her making that appearance in that film derailed her career to some extent. But no doubt, I'm sure she made a lot of money over the course of time, but definitely rest in peace to Shannon Doherty. There's a lady I follow on social media, Film Tourism, I believe it is, at Film Tourism, and she also battled she had a bout with cancer. But Film Tourism, that Instagram, I was one of the earlier followers of her account. She goes all around the world and has the printout, like a photo that she holds up in the same place where said scene from TV or movie was filmed. And she just shared a couple of throwbacks from her time there in the Beverly Hills area. But she has went all the way to crazy places, you know, way out in the middle of nowhere to line up shots. And to me, there's definitely an awesome dedication there. But what were the names of the main characters, the original teenage cast? So you had Dylan McKay, rest in peace. He also passed away. Of course, these are their TV show names. You had Kelly Taylor, who didn't love Kelly, Steve Sanders, Andrea Zuckerman, Brandon Walsh, of course. He was the brother of Brenda, which was Shannon Doherty. So you had Brandon and Brenda Walsh. You had Donna Martin and then David Silver, one of my favorite characters on the show. The other thing, too, for those just thinking about this, Brandon, the gentleman that played him, and I'm forgetting his real name, if you remember back like in the early 2000s when all of this like hot rod TV stuff really started picking up, you know, you had the biker build-offs and things like that. I remember he narrated some of, they were, I don't think it was Troy Trapana. I don't think it was his TV show, but it was called like Rad Rides, or it was something. It was one of those big early hot rod TV shows. And I always remember hearing his voice, and I was like, man, he's good at this. You know, he kind of had a good voice for that. But definitely, if you're from the era that I'm from, whether you liked that TV show or not, certainly you know about it. It was part of pop culture, and it definitely was a big thing. So rest in peace to Shannon Doherty. Okay, we're going to keep on keeping on. Next, we get the scene updates. And as I mentioned here in just a few minutes, I am going to break away, and we're going to talk to Bill from Camp and Drag. We'll also talk with Trip from the Freakin Weekend, which is going to be an insane show you have to be at. But a few things on the scene updates this weekend. Like as of right now, they're finishing up, as the time of this recording, they're probably finishing up Southern Tradition. I know Scotty the Body and so many others. I think I saw Chad Luke out there as well. And I haven't been on social media that much this weekend, so I did see a few, a bunch of NC guys out there, a bunch of different clubs representing. They're out there right now at Southern Tradition. Good show. Of course, that's in Canton, Georgia. But basically, here's a few that are on my radar. You have Camp and Drag. Again, we'll talk to Bill in a minute. July 19th through the 20th. That's going to be next weekend. Waveland, Indiana. You have Texas Heatwave. I think it's Heatwave Tour on Instagram. THW for Texas Heatwave is also the 20th through the 21st, and that's at Travis County Expo Center in the greater Austin area. Again, I wanted to link up. I had hopes to link up and talk a little bit about that event. I know that they really want the mini truckers to come out, and I know some people maybe have said, hey, for whatever reason, some shows change. I get that, but I know that their commitment is still there for mini truckers. So if you're in Texas and you want to do something this coming weekend, certainly hit up Texas Heatwave Tour, I think, on Instagram. They're good people. The Spark Show, one of our favorite shows is Sevierville, Tennessee. It's in Sevierville, rather, and it's August 9th, 10th, and 11th. One of the other draws to this area, if you're on the fence, is you've got the biggest Buc-ee's, I think, technically right now, there in Sevierville. So it's fairly close to the show. I mean, I think it's maybe an exit up or something like that. But certainly that's a place we hit. We get our breakfast burritos. But the show itself is great people. Of course, Adam and Dizzy and Corey Floyd and all the family members and the people that are involved, whether they're involved financially or just there for the brotherly support, so to speak. It's a fun show, and they do so many great things. The Spark Show, August 9th, 10th, and 11th, 2024. The Freakin Weekend, again, I mentioned that's going to be a little bit further out, September 20th through the 22nd. You'll hear me talk with Trip about the Freakin with an IN weekend.com. It's in Biloxi. Mike and so many other people went to this event last year and just had a fantastic time. So big shout out. I want to stop for a moment and mention that I forgot to say the trivia with Biggity Mike. Of course, this weekend, the trivia with the Mini Truckin Syndicate is brought to you by our kinfolk at Garage Gear Clothing. Visit garagegearclothing.com to make a purchase. They're also at these events nationwide. They're good people. They have the garage gear. They have items for children, and they do so many great things out there in the scene. They got a new trailer, so go show them some love. Help them pay for that trailer. The kinfolk at garagegearclothing.com. Now, the scene updates is brought to you by my favorite wheel company in the business for over 30 years, Colorado Custom. So many of you have chosen Colorado Custom recently or in the past. And if you find a wheel that you want to have them make, maybe in an old catalog or an old feature, send a photo, go to coloradocustom.com, reach out to Michael and team and let them know what you want to do. They make steering wheels. I think they even still dabble in other items such as possibly rear view mirrors, but they do a lot. Their new thing is a lot of folks are doing these counterweighted center caps, and they have obviously continued to do that as well with some of the Lincoln stuff they're doing, or really anything that you want. But they've got those famous O-rings that you pop on. It hides the lug nuts, and billets arguably are the best on mini trucks and Lincolns. Shout out to the kinfolk at Colorado Custom Wheels. Next, we got ODB, Mini Truckin Magazine by the numbers. And what I'm going to do is, I mentioned earlier a little segment, going forward in lieu of ODB, Hut 1, Hut 2, Hut 3, Hut, Old Dirty Ballard live and uncut. I'm sometimes going to do what I refer to as Mini Truckin Magazine by the numbers, and I'll break down something that I put a lot of time into kind of building this database centered around the original run of Mini Truckin Magazine. And the original run was 269 issues, and I'll kind of break down by the numbers. I love this stuff. I love it as it relates to other things as well, like hip hop and whatnot. But certainly dates and numbers are something that I love, that kind of stick in my mind. So what I'm going to do here on this episode is I'm not going to show you anything visually, but I might just kind of blow your mind a little bit with this update. Now, I know you're going to be thinking, hey, there's 269 issues of Mini Truckin Magazine. If you add all these numbers up, it's more than 269. Absolutely. There were 30 covers out of 269 with multiple trucks on the cover. So sometimes there's an issue with, two Chevys, or there's, a Chevy and a Nissan, right? So these numbers don't add up to 269 because, there's group photos. There's also, a lot of issues where there's just two trucks, right? And sometimes two Fords, like the famous Ford Splash kind of cover the green and purple. But rest assured, so I'm going to break this down. What do you think is the number one OEM? I know what's going to pop in your head. I could do a David Copperfield here. If you were to think for a moment, out of 269 issues, what OEM, so what truck manufacturer brand was on the most covers? So think Dodge, Ford, Chevy, Nissan, Toyota. Where does your mind go out of 269 who had the most covers for an OEM? If you thought Chevy, you were incorrect. Take away a tick mark. Now, I know some of you are going to think Chevy because it's like, wow, how many S10 issues, this and that. There were actually 78 issues with a Toyota. I love what you do for me. Toyota, jump in the air. Who remembers those commercials? Toyota, 78 issues. That's about 29% of the 269 covers with a Toyota on the cover. Now, I know you're probably scratching your head going, man, how is Chevy not there? Now, what I did is I broke this down. Chevy was 71. That was about 26%. Now, you could add in, there were technically two GMCs. You had Cope Kessler's Astro, a.k.a. GMC Safari, and then you had, shout out to the big homie, Chris Schmidt, with the Sonoma. You had two GMCs, so, arguably not even 1%. If you kind of added those two together, of course, you get to 73, but I did break it down based upon the OEM. So Chevy was number 2 at 71, about 26%. Next, any guesses? Nissan with 45. So you had about just over 16.5%, kind of rounding up, I'd say about 17%. Nissan at 45 total. Now you got to remember, some of these, the Texas Heat Wave cover, the Spring Splash cover, there's a bunch of trucks. And, when you look at that cover, you don't go, well, I didn't go, and I didn't count every single truck in the background. You kind of look at the main trucks that Courtney, rest in peace, wanted there front and center. So, there's some covers, that was like a Ford, for instance, like Ducks, right? Ducks Nissan was kind of front and center, and then you had Ghetto Bob's S10, right there. That, those are the two main trucks. So those kind of get the main, bulk of the numbers. You could slice and dice it more, but I can tell you this, nobody's ever sliced and diced it at all to this level. So rest assured, I took a lot of time over 5, 6, 7, 8 years plus that I've been doing this. And I'm still going back and slicing and dicing, adding more data rows and things like that. So there'll be more in the future. But what comes after Nissan? So Nissan was 45. So far, a recap, we got 78 Toyotas, 71 Chevys, 45 Nissans, 33, that's a great number, Crew Jones's number, 33 Mazdas. Okay, so number 4 is Mazda, about 12% of the total covers. Next, you have Ford, dare I say the F word, Ford at 25. So that was just under 10%. You have next Isuzu. I'm probably the only one that says it like that. I know that. Isuzu, you had 13 covers with an Isuzu. That was not quite about 5%, give or take. You had Dodge, believe it or not, with 4 total. You had Mitsubishi with 5 total. You had Datsun with 2. And as I alluded to earlier, you had GMC with 2. So again, if you add all those numbers up, they don't equal 269. And the reason for that is, you might have, there's an issue with, a Datsun and an Isuzu. That gets, if you have a tick mark, both of those OEMs get a tick mark, but that's only one cover. So again, you add all those numbers up and, you come to all the numbers I just added up was 278 as an example. But again, some of those have 2 Chevy, some have 2 of the same OEM, some don't. So regardless, one thing, again, you may not know is there's 30 covers out of 269 with multiple trucks, and that helped elevate those different OEM numbers. But pretty interesting, no doubt, and I think most would probably think Chevy, but going back and kind of going, oh yeah, there were a ton of Toyotas. And you think of, like, for instance, Last Look was on multiple covers, right? Sideshow was on multiple covers, those being Toyotas, and that definitely helped the Toyota number. I'll continue to break that stuff down more in the future. The ODB Mini Truckin Magazine by the Number segment this week is brought to you by our kinfolk at a Local Rides Mag. It's LOCAL, Local Rides with a Z, Mag, Local Rides Mag. Love what Bill and team are doing there. I love this homegrown publication that's kind of like for mini truckers by mini truckers. Local Rides, RIDEZ Mag. Hit them up. Buy an issue, about $8, $9, $10 for a single issue. Buy one if you see them at a show. Hit them up. Try to get one. I think that you'll really enjoy it. Next, we get the podcast updates brought to you by the Freakin Weekend, and the website will be back up. I know some of you are hitting our website and we're going, wow, I want to buy some things. We're going to relaunch it post Scraping the Coast, which was a while ago, I get. But we are going to have some items on there that typically aren't available on the website because we go to shows and we sell out. So what we did is we took any little bit of money we had, we went out and spent it pretty much all, and we re-upped on a bunch of stuff because oftentimes folks go, hey, I want to be able to buy something, but I can't make it to the show that you're at. So we totally get that. There's going to be some aluminum available, which is our famous Just a Truck on printed, that graphic disorder artwork printed on aluminum. We're also going to have some skate decks. Keep in mind, shipping is not cheap, so I totally understand. Some of these are going to be like maybe a holiday gift, Christmas gift, if you will. But certainly, we will announce when that stuff becomes available. That way, if you're planning now for like a holiday gift, Christmas gift, birthday present, you can grab some of that stuff now if that's what you want to do. Podcast updates, again, brought to you by the Freakin Weekend. Good people. We're going to hear from Trip here in just a moment. As I take a quick sip of my water, closing parting words, I just want to say keep it posted. If you can, please go on Instagram, tap on, I think it's a notification bell, but you can click on Our Lifestyle Podcast and you can turn on notifications. That way, like when we post something, and you can even customize your notifications on your iPhone or Android where it's a quiet notification where it doesn't ding, but later when you pull down from your notification banner, you'll see, oh, OLP posted something. Turn that stuff on. It really helps us. And I can tell you this, all of the creators, everybody's struggling right now, especially with Facebook and Instagram. Sometimes I question how long I'm going to continue to post stuff as much as I do on Instagram and Facebook, because you post things and I don't do it for, the count of likes. I don't do it for the, I got 1 million followers. I don't do it for that. I do it for the fun. And it is sometimes discouraging that, you'll look on Facebook. I'll go through my Facebook manager's app or whatever I use for Facebook, which is the Facebook app. And, you'll see 13 people like this, and I'm like, wow, I put in 20 minutes to dig through that magazine, to quote, a portion of that magazine, to maybe give a shout out to someone from that feature, to write the caption that most people probably don't read. It's just sometimes like those things you got to think about, like how much time am I putting in? Is there really a return? And if the return on investment is all fun, you go, okay, but if I'm spending, 8, 10, 12 hours a week doing all this stuff and like nobody's seeing it, it just goes, man, But when you turn on post notifications, that definitely helps. For the many of you out there, I know like Matt Canup, great dude, always sharing stuff. Matt and I got to look up the other person. There's a few people that I want to give you a shout out to. Matt Canup. They are now on their Facebook member, or excuse me, their YouTube members. So I really appreciate that. I'm going to continue to do more stuff with membership. This breakdown that I did here, the average person would be like, oh, okay, that's cool. 78 Toyotas on the cover. I mean, that took me going through every issue and building a database, right? And then that's not the only piece of data. There's a ton of other stuff. So I think what I'm going to continue to do going forward is really focus on YouTube. I love that platform. And that's where I'm kind of at, So again, thank you to so many great people out there that listen to our content. You consume it, you share it on Facebook. Even if you don't share every post, I certainly appreciate all of you. And thanks for being who you guys are and helping bring the scene forward. The last thing I'll say is I did mess up. So I want to do a correction. When I said recently about resolutions, Bob Hayes and I, we did talk not too long ago, and he's bringing it back, and I'm probably going to mess this up again, so I'm going to be very cautious. I mentioned that resolutions is coming back like December of maybe 2025, and I definitely was wrong there. So resolutions is coming back. It's even going to be a couple more years after that. So rest assured, what I've committed to Bob is I want to promote that event. And do anything I can to help, right, on our side. We've got a great follower base. So what I will tell you is going forward, you'll hear more information about that. I'll reinforce, I'll make sure the dates. It might be 2027, the December. And I know you're thinking, man, that's pretty far out. He's definitely putting the word out. He wants it to be that 50th anniversary. In addition to that, the only other thing I want to make sure I clear up is I know, I'm very passionate about this stuff. And I think I made a comment. Somebody was asking, I had shared something, and I had mentioned that Dion, congrats, got inducted into the Mini Truck Hall of Fame. And someone in one of the groups was, rightfully so, had a good question. They're like, man, how is Dion not in yet? And I clarified, and I said, well, I didn't want to go and type the whole story, but if you look back at the first year of the Mini Truck Hall of Fame, you had, rest in peace, Eric Coleman got in as painter, which rightfully so, and then you had Cal Concepts getting in as the company. And you go, wow, that's fantastic. Company gets in, and Eric Coleman gets in. So somebody was like questioning like how Dion hadn't been in yet, and I clarified, and I said, well, Dion got in as a company, his company, which arguably that is an amazing honor. Dion also got in with Last Look. He owned the Last Look, and that truck got in the Mini Truck Hall of Fame, rightfully so. It was on Truckin Magazine. Many people don't know this more than any other truck, and I'll talk more about that in the future. So I was clarifying, and I said, hey, this is kind of the third, this is the third time he got in, and rightfully so. I voted for him this year. I'm on the committee, and I just said, his name really needs to be etched in that category as well. So I think the people that maybe aren't as ingrained with it, they're going to ask that question. So, hey, I'm front and center. I'm going to go out there, boom, and I answer it. Now, in addition to that, I did make a comment where I said, hey, I want to continue, I'm speaking for myself. I want to continue to fight and to continue to do the right thing to get the right people in. And I think some people look at that and go, wow, is he saying that the people before him on the committee didn't help to fight to get the right people in? Absolutely not. I would never say that. I also built a database, which ironically enough, my mouse on my computer I didn't charge it, so I can't click on anything right now. But I built a nice big spreadsheet from 2013 on of all of the people. And if you look at those numbers, it was just about, right before this year, it was just under 100. I think there were more than 100, but there were some extenuating circumstances. There were about 94 people that had been voted in. And I look at what the committee, especially Bob Hayes, laying down the foundation for it, what he's done. And I thank him, and I thank all the people that were on it. There were some people over the course of time, naturally, they're going to go, hey, it's time for us to move on. that was their personal decision. They were with Bob kind of sunsetting, pun intended, Bob. With Bob kind of saying, hey, I'm going to move on. I've got some other goals I want to set. I'm going to let this, new batch of guys or, whatever his mindset was, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity, but I would never even throw shade at what, and if anybody ever intended that I was throwing shade at them for the committee, I mean, absolutely not. If you look at the list of names, I mean, they did a tremendous job, folks in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And of course, now we're getting into the era of, like a time machine getting voted in, kind of that 2000s truck. One of the rules technically is the truck has to be done 15 years. So, now with 2024, you minus 15 years, we're into that 2000s era, right? 2009 and prior. So, to the people, even if they were only on the committee for a year or two, thank you. Thank you for everything that you've guys done. I do believe, I'm a front and center guy, so I like to get out there and I like to comment on things. And I'm not afraid to kind of go, hey, well, this is why Dion wasn't in prior. It's because he was in 2 other categories, which he was happy for. But, there's some people that, they're maybe not on social media as much, or they're not, out there answering those questions or diving into it because it takes time. Let's be honest. I just kind of broke down that, do you want to spend 3-4 hours? That's why I try not to go on Facebook much, because if I go on Facebook and I spend an hour, I could be working on a podcast. I could be digging in a magazine. I could be finding more content. I could be doing other things. I can't go down that bunny trail 3-4 weeks or 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. I know some people probably on Facebook, 6-7 hours a day. I just can't do that. But I know when some people see a comment and they go, oh, wow, Big Bad ODB thinks he's cool because he's on the committee and he's got a podcast and, he thinks he's better than us. Absolutely not. If people think that, they're sorely mistaken. And, I would argue and say, listen, man, I'm going to parachute out of the plane and be gone out of the scene before that ever happens. Because, like I've reinforced for a very long time, I'm no better than the next guy or lady. There's a lot of good people, tons of people that have come before me. There's tons of people that have been doing this longer than I have, and they're still in it. There's a lot of people that were in it. They got out of it. Now they're back. That's fine. But I'm going to continue to do what I want to do, and it's to recognize the great people. If I can get someone's name on there that I truly feel is deserving and the rest of the committee members agree, and they've happened to vote for said individual, and that person gets in, it's a win-win for everyone. So I wish more people could get in. I do think there's opportunity for that in the future. But at the same time, we don't want to water it down. I can understand the argument on both sides of that. You don't want to go, hey, let's let 10 trucks in a year, and then you end up letting trucks in that were like, were they really groundbreaking? Were they really pushing the limits and things like that? So the last thing, I'll sum all that up, is remember, a lot of this is, we could sit here. One reason why I never do a top 10 mini trucks is because I don't appreciate the top 10, hip hop albums, or Apple Music doing the top, albums of all time and things like that, because everybody has an opinion. Everybody. And you could sit there and argue and say Last Look is the greatest ever, and you're going to have people that say Stranger is the greatest ever, and then you're going to have people say, XYZ is the greatest ever. That's the cool thing about it. Let's continue to debate it, and things will continue to be debated. But certainly the Mini Truck Hall of Fame is about recognizing those people, getting their names, ingrained into that history, or engraved rather, but also, them getting that ring. And, this year we had somebody that passed away. We didn't even know about that. And he's getting in. And, to me, that's really moving. I wish that he could have got his flowers, but he's also in the Lowrider Hall of Fame. So, the people, to me, that deserve the credit, let's give them their flowers, whether they're here or not. Hopefully they're here. But if they're not, we can still show them the love. I appreciate all of you. Stay on the rise. I'm going to try to plug my mouse back in so I can stop the recording. Have a great week, everyone. ODB, Biachia. Enjoy this audio from Bill from Camp and Drag, as well as Trip from the Freakin Weekend. They're good people. Biachia. Hey, as I stated, this episode, we're really kind of hitting upon some of the key shows this summer. And Bill, it's always great to sit down with you. Camp and Drag is right around the corner, and we love what you do up in Indiana. How are you doing today?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Living the dream.
I love hearing it. Every July, I know it's your favorite time of year. It's summertime up in Waveland, Indiana.
Yep.
This year, keep me honest, July 19th through the 21st.
Yes, sir.
And what year event are you on now? You're past 10 now.
This is our 17th year.
Yep, you're past 10 clearly, and you're on year 17. Talk to us a little bit about the event. Talk to us a little bit about the artwork and some of the things that you guys do every year, Bill.
So, I mean, every year we kind of keep it a little different. Kind of go back to the 80s, 90s themes of the old truck runs or whatever. This year we had Matt Hodgson design our flyers, and he went with I asked him to do a Simpsons theme, figuring the Simpsons have been around since the 90s. I mean, everybody seen them, knows of them. So we did the artwork here, and it's got the Simpsons kind of theme going on with that. And then Brant also did at Graphic Disorder, he did the shirts, and he also ran with the Simpsons theme. We posted that on Facebook and Instagram. Just something cool, something different, something to keep it a little fresh. And
you've done the wrestling thing. I think you did some of the old school BMX stuff.
Yep.
What a perfect evolution, like you said, late 80s into the 90s. Simpsons been around forever. And I love that you got a Lincoln on there. I mean, keep me honest, that is a purple Lincoln.
Ish, Simpsons version.
Right. We'll take it, Bill. Now, Camp and Drag, when we had you on, when we spoke last on the podcast, you guys have went to a streamlined process where that people can pre-register online. That ended a couple weeks, give or take about a week ago, to about 2 weeks once they hear this. But how has that allowed for the event to continue and thrive on?
Well, what we did is we kept it so that the attendees are the ones that we want to have in. We had trouble, as other shows have in the recent past, with spectators that aren't interested in our lifestyle to screw it up for others. So by doing the application process, we're able to monitor and make sure that the ones that we want in the campground are the ones that are there. It has brought the numbers down, but the quality has stayed the same, and the quality of people is still there.
Oh, yeah. And again, just to reinforce, June 19th, 20th, basically June 19th through the 21st. Now, one of the things that people may underestimate is the fact that in Waveland, Indiana, it is kind of off the beaten path a little bit. Now, I went up there years ago. One of the things I think that's a blessing to people is they can kind of get off their phones a little bit. Of course, they can still take photos and stuff. But keep me honest, that area, I don't want to say is a dead zone, but it does give people a chance to kind of get off the grid a little bit that are going to go out and potentially camp or jump in their campers.
This is true. I mean, I like to say that we put Waveland on the map because, I mean, there's a couple thousand extra people that would have never known where it was if it wasn't for Camp and Drag. And you are correct that phone service out there is not good for vendors alike. I mean, they try and do the square and it doesn't work all the time. But it is a chance to kind of get away, and then 3, 4, 5 days later, you can check back with your internet when you get back to your house.
Oh, yeah, and get all the notifications coming in.
Correct.
You can follow Camp and Drag on Instagram. It's camp_N, the letter N, and then _DRAG. So Camp and Drag, or if you just search that, typically it's going to come up. Now, something that I've always loved that you've done is maybe not every single year, but you typically kind of have a little bit of a sub-theme of the show. We saw the tandem takeover that you did in the past, which was super cool, and you've done different type of things. This year, my understanding is you have something kind of unique that's going to tie into some folks that are no longer with us. Talk to us a little bit about that and maybe some of the awesome vehicles that people may get a chance to see.
Correct. So this year we decided that it'd be kind of nice to involve the vehicles of the ones that have supported us but are no longer with us.
Yep.
So I've reached out to some of the families and friends of, Ernie Macias, Von Chulamani, Gary Betts, Jason Beaver, just to name a few. And we're trying to get, their vehicles to be highlighted on the pad so that we can just kind of, remember those that worked hard to get their vehicles to our show. And I mean, we still remember them. We're not going to forget them. And this way we can kind of showcase them and, let them know that, hey, they're still with us.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about Jeremy Beaver recently. And when you think about Joe Hughes and the legacy that he's continuing and some of the other names, it's amazing that
Jeremy,
their
I
legacy can kind of live on. And something that I think really is a key thing is when I got a chance to go, I slapped hands with Ernie many years ago. And as you know, he was a big supporter of that event. He loved the atmosphere. His No Regrets family really came through, and those guys did it big and went hard in the paint, so to speak. But like you said, some of those names and the opportunities that people will have to get a chance to see those vehicle showcases is awesome.
For sure.
Yeah, thanks for doing what you do. Now, our friends at Mini Truckin Magazine, folks may not have heard the news. They'd have to be sleeping under a rock, but Mini Truckin Magazine is back. And if you go to minitruckinmag.net, you can get a chance to basically order an issue or subscribe. How cool is it knowing that if you think this announcement was about a year ago and then they're really ramping up in 2024, how unique of an experience is it going to be for people to potentially have their vehicle shot there, even just for show coverage?
Well, I mean, obviously it's just, it's some people's dreams to build their truck and have it, on Mini Truckin Magazine specifically. And to have the opportunity again, I mean, great people doing great things for the magazine. I mean, the first copy was amazing. I mean, I call it the first copy of the new,
Sure.
new level, whatever.
Revival.
But, yeah. But yeah, so it's, it's another chance for people that thought they would never have the opportunity to get their trucks built and get them out there and get them in the magazine.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Now, when people, just for, some of the housekeeping, when people arrive in Waveland, right, I think back to the years ago that I went and had such a great time. I highly recommend this event to people. If you're a truck enthusiast, it's a must-attend event. But when people arrive there, what's the logistics like? Do they kind of just turn in, they pull up to the hut, and they go, hey, I'm here, here's my pass? Like, how does that work, overall?
Yeah, so we have a list. We have a list at the gate that's in my predetermined, application process, and they check in with their ID, and then they're free to go in the 640 acres of Waveland Campground. And, if you've got your modern RV site reserved, you can set up camp there, or else the other, 600 plus acres that you can set up a tent and rough it for the weekend,
Heck yeah. They have showers there. Obviously, they have a lot of amenities. I didn't get a chance to, I didn't go around as much as I had hoped to because I had just a great time watching the trucks cruise through there, right? There's kind of like a mini cruise that happens. In the past, you guys have done, different things to help folks out, right, in the truck community and whatnot. I know Ben Osborne has been through a lot. Talk to us about some of what you have planned in terms of Ben.
Yeah, so every year we do a raffle and an auction, and we try to raise money for, again, somebody that has supported us in the past and has fallen on hard times. Whether they're financially suffering, whether they're physically suffering, we try and help them out. I mean, even if it's just to help them not change their lifestyle so they can keep doing what they're doing and, reimburse a couple bucks in their pocket. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. So Ben Osborne's going to be our recipient this year of our raffle and auction proceeds. And then we're also donating to Riley's Children's Hospital again. Every year we do either Barbies, Hot Wheels, or this year's going to be kids' toys from 0 to 3 years old.
Okay, and which hospital was that again?
Riley's Children's Hospital in Indianapolis.
Riley's Children's Hospital. Great things are happening, and I would reinforce to folks, like, maybe you're listening to this and you go, hey, it's too far off the beaten path, I can't get to that particular area, but I still want people to know the good folks around the country that are putting on events. And as Bill said, 17th annual event, it's not easy to put an event on for 1 year, let alone 5, 10, 15. Oh, by the way, chugging towards that milestone number 20. And there's a lot of good people out there like Bill and his team, right? The cast of characters behind this event that put this event on that help raise money for a great cause, a great individual in the scene as well. And I know it's got to be a good feeling. Are there any shout outs that you want to give for some folks that possibly really help, even if it's behind the scenes, or any few companies that have really stepped up to maybe say, hey, here's some things for some goodie bags or whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'd like to thank my wife. I mean, she puts up with a lot for the, I mean, pretty much the whole year for Camp and Drag, getting everything ready, sitting down doing applications while the family's doing dinner. Um, my kids, I mean, they suffer. They don't get all their daddy time while we're doing this stuff. I mean, my mom's a huge supporter. My club, Ballistic, I mean, it's a smaller club, but they help me tremendously throughout the year. And then, I mean, for 4 days straight, they're doing anything I ask of them. And then, like you said, I mean, companies that have donated, that's, we have our usuals. I mean, I don't know how well I can zoom in on this, but these are our sponsors and vendors that, year after
Yep.
year, they're with us, they're helping, sending product for the raffle, for the auction, coming out, setting up their booths, and making the show what it is and what it's been.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And one of the things, if you follow Camp and Drag on Instagram, just how it sounds with the letter N, you're going to see that Bill has that hashtag out there in that bio. And if you're planning to go or you're at the event, hashtag the event. A lot of us are going to use Camp and Drag, but also use that second hashtag, Camp and Drag 2024. And that'll kind of curate those posts. You can, of course, on Instagram, tap on that hashtag and follow it so you'll get a chance to kind of live vicariously through the awesome people that are out there. But Bill, this has got to be a good feeling. I know it's not Camp and Drag, but if you think about the 2024 Mini Truck Hall of Fame inductees, right? When I got a chance to see and help, vote in Indy Truck Bash, I was super excited because you think of that rich history in that Midwest region, right, that you're from.
For
And you
sure.
think of ITB all those years ago, whether you had a chance to go or not, and you think of Latest Craze, and you think of some of these smaller clubs, like you mentioned, Ballistic, the club that you're in. It's got to be a really good feeling knowing the acknowledgement that the scene has always given to that, again, rich history in the Midwest there for you guys.
Yeah, it's a nice spot because, I mean, you don't have to travel across the country to get there if you're coming from the West Coast, from the East Coast. I mean, we've had people meet up from Washington down to Florida, New York, all the way to California. So it's a good melting pot, and it's a good way to, to get everybody to come together with their club and their family and hang out, have a good one. Like you said, I mean, all the way from the ITB days, which is actually where I got into it, and then now coming through, and I mean, it's an honor to to have people come and spend their hard-earned time and money, to hang out with us for a weekend.
Yeah, it's a great location. In the past, right, and this popped up when we first started, and I want to think of this. Didn't you guys do a roller derby thing or some sort of little derby? Was it the downhill thing? Was that years ago, but you don't do that now? Or
Yeah, we did a soapbox derby down the hill through the
soapbox?
causeway, where people could showcase their skills of building something other than a mini truck, and then bring it out and race against each other. We had some legal issues with someone stepping out onto the course, so we kind of put
Got
a
it.
kibosh on that. But I am looking to, in the near future, maybe find an insurance that we can rework it so everybody can try that again.
Yeah, not everyone realizes the things that you as a show promoter and the team have to do to put your necks out. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of money. So when you can go to these events and you can buy a T-shirt, Graphic Disorder made these shirts. Again, Matt Hodgson, great job with the artwork. You're really, you're maybe only spending $25-$30 on a piece of merch, but you're also helping a show promoter be able to have enough money in his or her pocket to go, okay, we paid all of our folks. By the way, we can have the show next year. And you go, hey, 17 in a couple weeks. That's damn good. And we tip our cap to you, Bill, and the rest of your club and team that helps, continue the legacy of this show in that area.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Last thing, awards, right? So none of us go to shows for awards, but it is a big piece, no doubt, about shows. Is there any one thing you wanted to mention about the awards, or maybe who you partnered with this year for those famous Camp and Drag awards?
So for our top 75, we do, our guy in our club, Ed Kirk from Kirko Precision Tools. He water jets out our top 75 and the Elite 10s. The Elite 10 is something where, something we think is a complete vehicle. I mean, just shy of best of show, but it still has to be, exterior, interior, undercarriage, something that that one next step could take it to best of show. Then we obviously do a best of show, which is actually built by a guy who works at Rad Rides here in Illinois.
Wow.
And then we also enlist some of the other sponsors and fab shops to help us out and build trophies to showcase their skills and put our name on it as well as theirs, so that they can get their name out there and we can give an awesome award to somebody that deserves it from people that help us.
Fantastic. And as we start to kind of close down, and it just blows me away hearing Rad Rides and hearing even Kirko doing what they do. I think I said that correctly. But what I wanted to reinforce is, again, here, if you're viewing this on YouTube, hopefully you are. If not, please follow us here on YouTube. You get a much richer experience. But you've got the official Instagram here, again, Camp and Drag. There is 2 underscores in there. You've got the hashtag in here. You can always tap on this as well, and it's going to curate those posts. And then you've got the website. You can link right from there. But you've got that, and then you also have the website. So you've got the dates, and then you have different stuff out here. So if you're looking to kind of get to that specific location, it's, of course, in Waveland, Indiana. The thing I would tell people is be very careful. And if you do happen to get pulled over, be very, very, very polite to the Indiana State Police. I can't tell you how I know that, but it's definitely an area up there. Use the cruise control if you can.
Yep.
There's a lot of good people in that region. Indiana is an awesome state, and salute to everybody that's a mini trucker or loves the scene as much as we do. And you go out to these events, especially Camp and Drag, because it's really a fun event, and it's something, Bill, that I think if people have typecasted this as a crazy kind of Woodstock type weekend, you can make it what you want, but certainly you can go during the day and you can have a very fun atmosphere, kind of family atmosphere. And then I think at night, you can also have a fun kind of adult atmosphere. So I think it kind of works on the barometer at all levels.
For sure. And we've done that with the application process. It's made it more family friendly. There's plenty of people now that say that they would bring their kids. And like you said, I mean, at night you can still party, have your fun time. During the day, it's kind of chill, kind of relax. I mean, see all the trucks in the daylight and, enjoy. I mean, there's a lake, there's a beach. Have fun, cruise around.
Oh, yeah. Indiana in the house. Big ups to Bill. Again, campanddrag.com on Instagram, Facebook. You can follow what's going on there with the event page. Stay on the rise, and we'll be looking for many Truckin Magazine's coverage and more via social media. Thank you so much, Bill, for taking the time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yo, I'm super excited, as I mentioned, to sit down with Trip. Man, Trip, you always got the energy, man. Where's it at?
It's here. Long work day, so we're going to try to bring it tonight.
I love it, brother. Hey, listen, dude, you really set the truck scene ablaze a little over a year ago, give or take. You said, hey, I'm going to put the flag in the ground. I want to do a show as well.
Right.
The Freakin with an IN weekend. Last year, you came out blazing. I was blown away. All of the social media posts. And for a first-year show, Mike would call it the first annual, but we'd have to remind him it's an inaugural, the first year. But here's the thing, dude. You come out blazing with you and your team, and you really got a good response. Talk to us a little bit about the second annual event and some of the dates and maybe some of the key information.
Yeah, so we planned it as a party that you could bring a truck to. We promoted it that way the whole time, and it got a great response, and that's kind of what we stuck with this year. Partnered back up with Harris again. They've been an awesome teammate with us to get everything going, and they're all about a party, so it kind of was a perfect fit. Dates this year, September 20th to the 22nd. Same place, Biloxi, Mississippi, right on the water at Harris. We've almost had a double pre-rig than we had last year, so we're expecting, I hope to have twice what we had last year, and it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a really good time. We got some big stuff planned.
so many people talk about, the 80s, the 90s, going to like, Myrtle Beach, these different events where you kind of had it, these events that were right on the beach,
Mhm.
and you had this kind of beach vibe, right? This
Yep.
atmosphere. This show, you've continued to reinforce the biggest beach party of the summer. And I love it because, as we get older, certainly we kind of all feel like it's getting a little bit hotter out. Our Texas family just experienced, remnants of that hurricane.
Right.
Dare I say, but the good thing that I love about this event, right, is you guys are so close to the water, the pool, and things like that. It really brings things to a point, like you said, you can hang out by the pool. You don't have to be out in the field or a concrete deal all day.
You can sit in the pool and see the show. We Harris Pool Deck is 4 stories up, and it sits right above our pool, our showgrounds. So you can, and I think Mike did it last year for pretty much the entire day Saturday. They sat in the pool, they drank, they hung out, and just enjoyed the show from the pool. Plus, it's walking distance. You can walk right back down there. Plenty of food, plenty of stuff to do at the show, plenty of stuff to do at the resort. It's a perfect setup. It's a perfect setup for a show.
I love hearing it. It's the Freakin with an IN weekend show on Instagram, and then thefreakinweekend.com.
Right.
When they go to the website, Trip, they can pre-register, but I know it's important for a lot of people if they, maybe they're up in the air. Do I have to work? I'm on call. Will folks, if for whatever reason they can't pre-reg, which by the way is the easiest way,
right?
Will they be able to reg day of?
Yeah, so we'll have day of registration. We have a field cap of 800, and we're capping our pre-reg at 400, which we're knocking on the door of, and they've been rolling in this week. They'll be able to register that second half day of the show. So we expect a big push for that day of, but we'll have registration open starting Friday at noon, and it'll run all the way to Sunday.
Yeah, if you go to the Freakin with an IN weekend.com and you click on buy freaking tickets, right? Buy those damn freaking tickets. The cool thing is everything is laid out right here. You got that awesome Crew Cab S10 right on some of the artwork. It's, of course, Biloxi 920 through the 22nd, as Tripp mentioned. But here's the key thing. To me, I think it's a very fair price. We've continued to see everything in the world goes up in price, right?
Right.
But you start looking at a high-end premium kind of destination location, that mid $50 range, you got a little bit of a service fee in there, but I think it's more than fair. And keep me honest, that's going to include 2 bands as well to get in.
Yeah, so it's free to get in the show as far as a spectator. So we don't have a wristband for the show. You bring as many as you want. It's $55 plus a fee to get your truck into the show. We'll bump it up to $60 at the gate, but that includes 2 pool party passes as well. So that gets you into the pool party. That gets you into the event all weekend, lets you park in the field, park next to the water, and hang out. But $55 plus a little service fee that we have on there for that.
Yeah, and speaking of the pre-party, you kind of had this hospitality-style event on Friday. I know you also have a crazy event on Saturday. It's all family-friendly for the most part, from what I've seen. Talk to us a little bit about the Friday night festivities.
All right, so Friday night, Missy Jacobo and her people are putting together a hospitality night, pre-party kind of deal. They're going to have free food. We'll have some drinks out there. DJ Mays will be playing all night. It's just be a get-together for about 4 hours or so from the time that the show closes till about 9 o'clock. And it's just a hangout in the field at the showgrounds. Everything's family friendly. The entire event's a family friendly event. We've kind of got some kickback on that this year because of some of the promo.
Sure.
But outside of the after party, which it's at a casino, so it's 18 and plus regardless. Everything's family friendly. My kids will be there. A bunch of our team's kids will be there. It's a family friendly event. It's walking distance to Margaritaville, arcades, amusement park, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's a good time for anybody.
Yeah, and we wouldn't condone someone like Hank Norris leaving infants in the room trying to go to the have a babysitter, right, Trev?
Absolutely.
Here's the other cool thing that I think is something that is maybe something that you can't get out of these other events, right? And I talked a little bit about the water aspect. In Florida, I grew up, and if I'm around the water, I feel like, I can get hot, I can jump in, I can do that kind of stuff. Talk to us a little bit about, you mentioned you could be in the pool and kind of even see some of the trucks.
Yeah.
In relation to where the show's at, it's on the premises there, right? So if you do stay at that event, you don't have to really drive anywhere.
You don't have to drive anywhere. It's a park and stay event, and that's kind of how we've modeled it. The show field is across Beach Boulevard. It's actually on the beach side. So it is waterfront is where our show field is. We have 2 sky bridges that connect back to the property that we're partnered with at Harris. They got restaurants. You can stay there, sleep there, eat there, play there, whatever you want to do. Walk to the show field. And there's also 2 or 3 other restaurants that are all within walking distance of the show field. So you can park, stay, hang out, eat, party, whatever you want to do without ever cranking your vehicle up until Sunday.
Yeah, and I want to reinforce this to all of the listeners because in the viewers as well on YouTube. If you think about some of the folks, a lot of mini truckers will go to Detroit for the Autorama, and then you had back in the day you had a show in Kentucky area called Havoc. People love these destination shows because, to Tripp's point, when you park and you turn off the vehicle, unless you want to kind of get up early Saturday and go venture out and maybe get a coffee at a different place or something, you really don't have to, because Harrah's, being this casino type environment, they have so much there, and it's almost like going to Vegas to a certain extent. You don't have to leave the hotel if you don't want.
Right. There's a 24-hour steak and shake in the parking lot of the Harrah's. There's a high-end steakhouse inside the Harrah's. I mean, you can get anything you want without ever leaving. There's coffee houses. There's a Starbucks on property. If you want it, you can find it on property without ever having to drive anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Talk to us about the world famous, I'm going to call it, belly flop contest. I think this really garnered a lot of people, a lot of excitement, kind of that family atmosphere the kids can watch, right? I mean, if they want to participate. But talk to us a little bit about that.
All right. So Chunky Boys, a good friend of ours, Shane and the boys over there, they've been a great partner with ours even before Freakin Weekend. He's been a good friend of ours. They wanted to do a belly flop contest last year. We were doing the bikini contest already for the girls. He wanted to give something for the big boys, so he did a belly flop competition. And we had 15, 20 people sign up. It was a hit. It was the funnest thing at our after party. And this year, he came out swinging. He hit me up 2 weeks after the show last year and said, "Hey, I'm going to do something cool for you. I'm going to do something cool for you." And then when I met up with him at Scraping, he had a official championship belt. I mean, this thing is it was incredible. I wanted to take it home that day. But he's got a title belt for it. We got a bunch of people already signed up for it, a bunch of his people, a bunch of our people already locked in for it. So it's at the pool deck. It's during the after party. So it is a part of the 18 and up event, but it is a good time. It's a good time. It was fun. Big belly flop competition.
Did you disqualify Waka automatically and say, "Hey, man, you can't enter"?
He can do whatever he wants as long as he shows up in Crocs. He's been a brand ambassador for them a long time. He's kind of been flaking on them lately, and I've been publicly shaming him for it. So I told him he can do whatever he wants. He shows up in Crocs for the Freakin Week.
The other activities that a lot of people love, and it's a family type activity, is the corn toss, right?
Yep.
So you have these cornhole tournaments, people, different shows. Everybody kind of got behind these and really picked up steam a lot. Talk to us a little bit about the opportunity for people to play throughout the day, throughout the weekend.
Yeah, so Time Bomb Customs, my buddy Ben Crease, he's a custom painter. He's actually putting together 2 sets of cornhole boards for us. They'll be custom painted, graphics, flake, the whole 9 yards. We'll have those set up all day Friday, all day Saturday, and our tournament will kick off about 1 o'clock on Saturday evening. The winner gets to take home both sets of the boards. So,
yeah, fantastic. Now, as we're talking with Tripp here, what I want to kind of reinforce to everybody is if you go to the website, and I got to always hide this for some reason, but it's simple. It's the Freakin with an IN, right? No G. TheFreakinWeekend.com. You're going to land here, and when you click on buy tickets, this is what Tripp was talking about. You've got your $55 fee, a little bit of a service fee there, and you can check out. I think that's really important for any show goers when you think about, in this case, you got basically a vehicle that you want to get in. You can do it all online.
Yep.
And I think not all the shows, Tripp, have kind of went to that digital experience, and I think that this is a fantastic thing. You basically have, again, want to reinforce the dates, September 20th, 21st, 22nd in Biloxi. Now, we don't obviously go to shows for the awards trip, but it's a key part of any event, right? You have all these top class vehicles, and it's such a good feeling to be able to give those awards out to the people that really deserve them.
Right.
Talk to us about P3 Billet and what they've been able to do for you.
Dustin and the guys over there, man, they've been awesome. They did our awards last year. They did all of our specialty awards. We had 18 last year, best truck, best car, best of show, the whole 9 yards. They put together some multi-layer solid billet trophies for us last year. They're doing something a little cooler for us this year. We've doubled this amount of specialty awards we're going to have. A little bit bigger, a little bit shinier, but still P3 Billet. They kill it for us, and they put together some beautiful awards. But they do all of our awards for us as far as that goes. And we'll have best of in every class. So bikes, trucks, cars, semis, whatever you bring, we'll have something for it.
Dude, the new Eminem album's coming. I thought you were dropping some bars. P3 Bill it, they kill it. I was like, damn, where's the next line coming from, Trip? Now, listen, dude, every time we link up, I wish you had the big hat with you, bro. I remember seeing that on Shark Tank. And you, dude, look at this, right? You were walking around one of our favorite shows, Lone Star Throwdown, and you were cruising with Jay
Yep.
Robertson.
Yep.
Love his D50. Say, hey, yo, ODB, it's not a Mighty Max. How cool is it to see? I think, I could be wrong, I think you're the first guy in the scene that's really adopted that hat.
We had, I was the only one I saw at LST. We took it to Mini Nats, and there was several out there. There was some Camber guys that had some club hats made out of them. But it's guerrilla marketing, man. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be center of attention, and we had it made for LST, and it's a gift and a curse. It gets a lot. It gets a lot of attention, but it is quite hot and heavy. So
you just need a little fan in there, dude.
Right.
If you follow on Instagram, if you're an Instagram junkie like I am, it's the Freakin with an IN Weekend show. And again, you can go to the website. You can even click the link in the bio. You mentioned something a moment ago, right? With the kind of the 18 and up, that Saturday event, right?
Right.
So let's say somebody wants to venture over to that. Talk to us a little bit about the logistics, where they have to go, and kind of what are some of the parameters that you may be shooting for.
Right. So there's a couple ways to get into the after party. Anybody that stays on property at the Harrah's automatically gets passes to the party as a guest of the hotel, whether you're showing, whether you're spectating. If you register a vehicle, you automatically get 2 passes to the pool party. So we're kind of promoting towards the people that are registering. They get kind of priority. And then we'll have passes for sale at the show during the day on Saturday. Those will be $10 a piece at the show, so you can buy a ticket if you didn't have one. It is 18 and up. It's an on casino property. It's, there's multiple bars out there. That's a casino rule. That's not our rule, but it is an 18 and up event. And then our party starts at 7 p.m. and it goes to 11. So Saturday night, show field will shut at about 6. We'll have a live DJ going out there. They'll have some food going. Daiquiri bar will be open. All the bars will be open. The pool will be open. And it's a private event. It's only for people with the show. And it'll be going till 11 o'clock or, until they let us push it a little bit, as long as people are out there hanging out. But it's right over the showgrounds at the pool deck at the Harrah's.
Yeah, Scott and Genelise came out last year. Of course, a lot of other folks as well, Mike and team.
Yep.
And they had just a great time, and that's what they said that they really loved about it. So I'm asking all of the listeners, listen, a lot of you, it's kind of later summer for us. I mean, summer's all year round down here, but you're going to get a chance to come down south, potentially wherever you live. I mean, it's pretty far south, right?
Right.
And you're going to get a chance to experience something that's like a beach party, a pool party, a lot of good stuff. And I really think, from what I talked to other people that went last year, the experience that they just had a lot of fun. And they said, this is the type of show I want to go to. I want to kick back. I like walking around. I like looking at cars, but I like to take a break from that as well. And this is the event, keep me honest, Adam, that they need to come to. And they need to go to the freakinweekend.com to get their ticket, or spectators are free.
Spectators are free. You bring as many people as you want. We don't have an armband. We don't have gates. You come and go as you want. You just got to pay to park in the show field. If you don't want to show, we got 7 floors of parking garage directly across the street. You can come and spectate and hang out. It won't cost you $1. Just come and enjoy the vendors, enjoy the trucks, enjoy the music, and just hang out. I mean, it's a laid-back event. We legit tried to plan a party that we're going to have some awards for your vehicles too, but we're planning a summer party.
I love it. So just to reiterate, you got P3 Billet. I know you got the Chunky Boys. I got years ago. I ended up somehow with a koozie from them. They do great marketing.
Yep.
And you mentioned the homie that painted Jay Robertson's truck.
Yep.
Time Bomb.
Yeah, Ben Crease. Yep.
Ben Crease.
Yep.
So who were any other names that you want to mention? Because I know, you got a solid team, right, that helps judge and do these things. You get, of course, the face of this because it's, hey, you sticking your neck out, if you will, for this event. But are there any other folks or partners you want to mention?
Amplified Designs. They're our title sponsor. Kyle over there, me and him, he's like family to me. Me and him have been friends for years now. He makes the show happen. Like, it would not happen without Kyle and all the guys over there at Amplified. They take care of us. They take care of the show. They come out heavy. They bring cool stuff. And, they've been an awesome partner. The first phone call I made when we decided to make the show was Kyle. he said yes without even thinking about it, and he's been on board. He's locked in for life. You don't have a choice. But that show wouldn't happen without Kyle and the guys over at Amplified. And then we got some awesome vendors, man. Stuart and Colette from KIK, they'll be out. I don't want to sit here and start naming vendors because I don't want to leave anybody out. But we got a lot of cool people coming out. But as far as people that make that event happen, the Harrahs and Kyle at Amplified, that's 1A and 1B. I mean, it wouldn't happen without them. So.
Yeah, and it's great that you mentioned KIK. I love Stuart and Colette. They're good people. Yeah. Of course, they've got a rich history in that region. Mm-hmm. And you think about I know you're a little bit younger than I am, but, you think about all of the challenges that whole region has went through. You know, different parts of the country have as well, don't get me wrong. But you think back to probably you younger going to like a Scraping the Coast, which is our title sponsor, right, and going to some of those events. It had to have been a good feeling, seeing some of the greats do what they do, because that segued you into in my opinion, you've been able to really kind of come out, and for a first year event, man, yeah. I mean, you were pulling in stuff that unfortunately, some folks struggle to get even after several years.
Yeah, it's awesome. I grew up Scraping the Coast. That's the show. It's still one of my favorite shows. It's 30 minutes from my house. I
sure.
want that Lauren, the whole crew over there, I'll support anything they put together, but Scraping's got a special place for me. The Coast has a special place for me. Biloxi, just in general. I grew up in Mississippi. I love that we got to bring an event there. When we were planning everything, Lauren actually helped a lot with like, hey, we're thinking about doing something in Biloxi. What are the things, I know they have some stuff they deal with the city over there. So like, what are some things we need to know? So they helped a lot kind of on the back end of that. But, I love that we got to bring another event to the Coast. It's a great place to be. I mean, the cities are awesome. There's plenty of stuff to do. The weather is, it's hot, but there's always stuff to do down here, and it's always a good time. So.
Yeah, for sure. And it's great to hear, because I wanted you to say that, because I want other folks to know that, sometimes there's multiple shows in different, states or different city, the same city and right. things like that. And there is a way to what's the word I'm thinking,
coexist.
Coexist. That's exactly what I was looking for. So, it's fantastic. It was about 3 months later after STC, which just concluded recently, but we're super excited. Let me see if I can grab something right here. I don't know if I have it. 1 second.
Here we go.
I saw Atlanta. Okay, now listen, I'm not an Atlanta fan, right. but I do own one Atlanta jersey, and if you know me, he's from Southern Miss, and he's from Mississippi.
Miss jersey upstairs.
Yeah, there you go. So over the years, I've tried to collect different jerseys, and this one was one. I wish they'd put out another one, but my man Favre now, he's gotten in some hot water since he retired. But yeah. I was a fan before the whatever picks that he was sending to the girl.
Sure.
But I know as a Falcons fan, you're excited for the new season, right?
I am. I'm pumped for it. I'm pumped for it every year and get let down every year. But I'm a diehard man. I'm a diehard Falcons fan. That's I like that more than I like car shows. I mean, Falcons is my stuff. So.
I always liked the nickname Matty Ice, but apparently he didn't like that. ESPN had given him that nickname, and right. then they kind of stopped calling him. But I was like, damn, dude, that was a pretty cool nickname.
Yeah, they just inducted him to the Ring of Honor. It was the best we ever had. So I mean, he didn't get.
I saw that.
It is what
I know, and I was really rooting for him that year. I don't want to bring that up necessarily, but
I wish you wouldn't.
Yeah, I know, and I tell you this, man. As a kid, before I ever even understood really football, I have Dan Marino's autograph I got for $3. It was $3 for the 8x10, but it was a free autograph.
Yeah.
And I loved Dan Marino as a kid, and he went to the Super Bowl second year. Yeah. Unfortunately, he never made it back. And I think some people are fortunate that they can make it back multiple times, but it's tough, man. And as long as we had Favre and Rodgers, we won 2 Super Bowls, and it was like sometimes it doesn't even feel like it.
Are you a big Green Bay guy, huh?
Yeah, big Green Bay.
Wow.
Big Green Bay, yeah. So
I actually went up there for a Green Bay Tampa game, 2020, I believe. We took a road trip up there for a buddy of mine's bachelor trip. He's a big time Green Bay fan.
Yep.
So I'm Lambeau guy. I like Lambeau. It was a good time.
Yeah, it's a good city. Mike always talks about it. Trip, we're so thankful that you sat down with us again. If anybody is listening to this, spread the word. Trust me, I know I couldn't make it last year due to some other things I had going on, but we will be there. And we're going to have a good time. We want to see all the mini truckers hang out and kick back. Many of you are hardworking, kind of blue-blooded Americans, and you want to get out there and have a good time, spend some money. Maybe you don't want to go to Vegas. Maybe that's been, in the back of your mind. This is going to be a similar experience. You're going to have a great time. And oh, by the way, there's going to be tons of awesome rides there. So we can't thank you enough for the support. And we're going to get the message out. The Freakin Weekend, which is the biggest beach party of the summer, Harrah's, 9/20 through the 22nd. Any last words, my friend?
Rooms, book your rooms. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier. We've extended our block as much as we can extend it. We've sold over 150 rooms. They are not going to give us any more. So if you want to stay on property, book them.
Harrah's, Gulf Coast, Biloxi, MS for Mississippi. Yep. thefreakinweekend.com. You can click on buy tickets, and it's going to give you the address. If you can't remember this, maybe you're driving right now. Sit down a little bit later, dial that number on your smartphone, and book your tickets.
Yep.
We can't wait to see you there in Biloxi in a little bit more than 2 months. So I know it seems like a week away for you. Trip, stay on the rise, and we'll slap hands. Let's catch up in about 4 weeks for any developing updates that you have for the Freakin Weekend show.
That works for me. Appreciate it, buddy.